transformed it. He was more than fast. He was fierce, more than skillful. He was surgical. To face him was to face fear itself, relentless, unpredictable, unstoppable. From the sun-scorched streets of Bridgetown, Barbados, where dreams were forged in the dust, to the roaring stadiums of the cricketing world, Malcolm's journey was carved from hardship and defined by excellence. He was not the tallest on the pitch, but he towered over giants. With a stride full of purpose and a heart full of defiance, he brought entire batting lineups to their knees and stood tall for a nation that lived and breathed the game. But beyond the brutal bouncers and record-breaking stats was a man of quiet strength and complex layers, a devoted son, a loving father, a loyal teammate, and a man whose pain was often hidden behind his pride. This is more than a story of wickets and wins. This is the rise of a boy who lost his father and became a father to the dreams of a generation. A man who fought battles on and off the field with courage, dignity, and unwavering resolve. This is not just cricket. This is legacy. This is the story of Malcolm Marshall, a warrior in whites, a hero in silence, a legend forever. Born on April 18, 1958, in the heart of Bridgetown, Barbados, Malcolm Donnell Marshall entered a world of humble beginnings, but he carried within him the spirit of something far greater. His early years were marked by loss. After the tragic death of his father, a police officer, Malcolm was raised by two pillars of resilience: his mother, Eleanor Welch, and his grandmother. In their small home, love was abundant, even if money wasn't. And through their strength, Malcolm learned the values of discipline, humility, and drive. On the cracked concrete streets of Bridgetown, while other boys played for fun, Malcolm played for something more. Even as a child, his dreams ran faster than his bare feet. Cricket wasn't just a game. It was an escape, a calling, a chance to rewrite his destiny. At St. Giles Primary, and later at Parkinson High School, Malcolm's potential began to shine, not just in pace and precision, but in focus, grit, and a quiet intensity that set him apart. He was a student of the game, watching, learning, dreaming. To Malcolm, cricketing legends like Sir Garfield Sobers and Wes Hall weren't just famous names. They were proof, living, breathing proof, that greatness could come from Caribbean soil, that a boy with nothing but a ball and belief could stand on the world stage. And Malcolm Marshall was determined to be that boy. By the 1980s, Malcolm Marshall wasn't just feared, he was revered. His dominance wasn't a flash in the pan. It was a storm that raged across continents, dismantling batting orders with ruthless precision. And then came 1984, the year that etched his name in cricketing history forever. The Blackwash series against England, a 5-test sweep, a masterclass in West Indian firepower, and in the third test at Headingley, Malcolm, already nursing a fractured thumb, refused to sit out. Most would have withdrawn, rested, recovered, but not Malcolm. With his left hand in a cast and pain shooting through every delivery, he ran in with that signature fire in his eyes and carved through the English lineup, taking 7 wickets for 53 runs in the second innings. It wasn't just athleticism. It was grit. It was guts. It was greatness. That moment wasn't just about cricket. It was about character, resilience, pride. But perhaps the truest measure of Malcolm Marshall wasn't just in his wickets, or his speed, or his incredible swing. It was in the choices he made when no one was watching. In the mid-'80s, when offered a $1 million deal to join a rebel West Indies tour to apartheid South Africa, Malcolm said no, flat out. He refused to cross that line, not for money, not for fame. Because for Malcolm, justice wasn't negotiable. Dignity wasn't for sale. In turning that offer down, he became more than a cricketer. He became a symbol of principle over profit. A man whose legacy wasn't just built on stats, but on stands. By the time he stepped away from international cricket, his numbers spoke volumes. 376 wickets in 81 tests. Another 157 in 136 one-day internationals. But the numbers were just echoes of something deeper. Discipline, mastery, and an unwavering warrior spirit. Each delivery, each wicket, each roar of the crowd. They told the story of a man who never backed down, a man who gave everything, right down to his broken bones, for the pride of the Caribbean, for the love of the game, and for something bigger than himself. Retirement from cricket didn't mean retirement from purpose. Malcolm Marshall wasn't the kind of man to fade quietly into the background. If anything, he became louder in meaning, even if his days of charging down the pitch were behind him. From 1996 to 1999, he returned to where it all began. Not as a player, but as a coach, a mentor, a builder of futures. He poured his knowledge, his discipline, and his unmatched instincts into the next generation of West Indies cricketers. He also coached at Hampshire, the county that had become a second home, passing down fast bowling craft to young hopefuls in the English system. No matter where he was, Malcolm never held back. He gave fully, of his time, of his energy, of his wisdom. Off the field, Malcolm was just as devoted. After 13 years together, he married his beloved partner Connie in 1999. Their bond wasn't forged in fame, but in loyalty, in quiet moments, and in shared dreams. Together, they raised their son, Mali, a boy who saw not just a cricketing icon, but a father full of love, laughter, and strength. Malcolm also had two other children, Shelley and Benjamin. Though circumstances were complicated, as they often are in the real stories of life, his concern for their future was clear. In the weeks before his passing, he updated his will, securing financial support for each of his children. Even in the shadow of death, Malcolm Marshall was thinking like a father. And years later, in 2021, when Mali portrayed him in the film 83, a dramatization of India's famous World Cup win, it was more than acting. It was a tribute, a son walking in the shoes of a legend, a legacy continuing, frame by frame, breath by breath. In 1999, during the height of the Cricket World Cup, the world was watching the game. But behind the scenes, Malcolm Marshall was facing a different kind of opponent, one that couldn't be bowled out or blocked away. Colon cancer. The diagnosis came without warning. He fought with everything he had: surgery, chemotherapy, hope. But the disease moved faster than even he could run up to the crease. As his health declined, he returned home to Barbados. The same island where his story began would now become the place where it ended. On November 4th, 1999, at just 41 years old, Malcolm Marshall passed away in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Bridgetown. His weight had dwindled to just 55 pounds. The man who once roared like a lion on the pitch left this world quietly, but not without leaving a deafening silence in his absence. The cricketing world was shattered. Tributes poured in. Legends bowed their heads. 5 former West Indies captains served as pallbearers, carrying his casket in a show of respect that transcended sport. He was buried at St. Bartholomew's Church in Barbados. But his spirit? That can't be buried. Because legends don't die. they echo. The impact of Malcolm Marshall didn't stop at the boundary line or even at the grave. It carried on, in hearts, in stadiums, in dreams. In England, the road leading into Hampshire's Rose Bowl was named Marshall Drive, honoring both Malcolm and fellow West Indies star Roy Marshall. Memorial matches continue to this day, where young players compete not just for victory, but to carry the spirit of a man who showed them what excellence looks like. The Malcolm Marshall Trophy remains one of cricket's most prestigious honors, awarded to the best fast bowler in the England-West Indies Test Series. It's not just a name on a cup, it's a challenge. Be like Malcolm. Strike fear. Strike honor. In Barbados, the Molly Marshall Trust was created in his name to support his family and continue his vision of uplifting others. A star-studded memorial match in London brought together 30 cricket legends, 17 of them former Test captains. Sir Vivian Richards, Brian Lara, Curtly Ambrose, they all came to play for Malcolm. His captain at Hampshire, Mark Nicholas, once wrote, "He was not only one of the finest bowlers the game had ever seen, he was one of the most loved." And that's the heart of it. Because legacy isn't just built on stats. It's built on how you make people feel, how you lift them when you're gone. And Malcolm lifted generations. He remains the yardstick by which fast bowlers are measured. Not just in speed, but in spirit. If that shocked you, hit subscribe. You're not ready for what's coming next.